You could stop delaying tasks forever, so that doing your work feels easy, and your mind naturally focuses on the task, allowing you to complete it quickly. We call this smooth task completion. It's the opposite of procrastination, and I'll explain how to do it in a few minutes. Now, which type of procrastination affects you the most? One is inertia, where you can't start important work even though you know you should. The second is distractibility, where you get easily sidetracked while working. And the third is chronic delay, where you keep postponing important life goals. Inertia stops you from starting, distractibility diverts your focus, and chronic delay prevents progress. For me, inertia used to be the hardest. For example, I once had to write a speech for my friend's wedding as his best man. Despite its importance, I kept delaying it, which made every passing day uncomfortable. Contrary to what many think, procrastination isn't about lacking motivation. It's often high motivation coupled with inaction, making it particularly painful. This is due to a battle in our brains between the desire to act and the fear of doing so, known as the approach avoidance conflict. In this conflict, dopamine encourages action while cortisol triggers anxiety, creating a tug of war between wanting and fearing a task. This conflict keeps us from entering the flow cycle and accessing our peak performance. Now let me explain the flow cycle. For years, Stephen Kotler studied top athletes who consistently achieved peak performance by entering flow states. He discovered that flow isn't a simple on-off switch, but a four-phase cycle: struggle, release, flow, and recovery. In struggle, you fight to engage with the task, experiencing frustration and discomfort. Release comes when you overcome the struggle, feeling a rush of relief. Flow is a state of effortless focus and productivity. Recovery follows, allowing your brain to rest and recharge after intense focus. For action and adventure sports athletes, think of the struggle phase like warming up, starting the wave, or climbing a mountain. But in other areas beyond sports, we've found something new about flow. By helping teams at various top organizations tap into flow in their workplaces, we've noticed a fifth stage in the flow cycle. It's brief but tough, especially for modern professionals. It's called engage. For athletes, it's when they decide to take on a challenge like riding a wave or jumping out of an airplane. But for knowledge workers, it's harder. Now that you know procrastination is just about avoiding tasks, your way to beat it is either to build up the desire to start the task or to reduce the urge to avoid it. Here are tools to help you master the flow cycle and defeat procrastination for good. First, set clear goals. Back in the 1960s, a psychologist named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi found that people who experienced flow regularly had clear goals. Clear goals focus on what you're doing, not just the end result. They activate your brain's motivation and help overcome procrastination. Second, balance the challenge and skills. The right level of challenge compared to your skill level is crucial. If it's too easy, you get bored. If it's too hard, you get anxious. Aim for a challenge that's just a bit beyond your current skill level to get into flow. Third, regulate your response. Override your automatic reactions to stimuli and choose productive behaviors instead. Train yourself to engage in tasks immediately, especially in the morning when your brain is primed for flow. Fourth, ensure a flow payoff. Make sure you have uninterrupted time to get into flow. If your schedule is chopped up with meetings or interruptions, it's hard to get into the flow. Fix your schedule to create blocks of uninterrupted time for deep work. Finally, recognize ambivalence. Sometimes what feels like procrastination is actually your intuition telling you something isn't right. Pay attention to these signals and don't confuse them with procrastination. It's important to interpret procrastination correctly to avoid unnecessary tasks and focus on what truly matters. Remember, procrastination is normal, but you can overcome it with these strategies to access flow and achieve your goals efficiently.